Renzo, I'm going to set a trap for you, and I apologize in advance if you fall for it.
Wow, I don't know if I should be grateful that you're letting me know in advance or angry because now when I inevitably fall for the trap, I'm going to look much worse because you
Okay.
told me.
You're overthinking.
Yeah.
Estás buscando tres pies al gato.
Oh, no, that was a previous expression.
I know.
Yeah. What are we talking about today?
Let's see if you fall for the trap.
Okay. The trap.
It's good not to dwell in the past, correct? Lo pasado, pisado. That's our expression today. What does it mean?
Oh, okay. First off, what does it mean? Lo pasado, pisado. Well, first off, it's an incomplete phrase.
Oh.
Did you know that?
No?
All right.
Oh, you are sending me a trap now.
I am. Double traps. But the full phrase, as far as I've been able to glean from my research, is lo pasado, pisado y enterrado está. So, literally, the past is stepped on and buried. That's the missing part, the burying the past.
Okay. But we usually say lo pasado, pisado, which sounds amazing, don't you think? It's very zen to not dwell in the past, to not overthink coulda, woulda, shoulda, as you guys say, which is one of my favorite English expressions. Just live in the present and don't worry about the past, right?
No, you're right. I love that phrase. It sounds great. Lo pasado, pisado. So literally it would be like saying the past, you've already stepped on it. That's ground you already covered. You already stepped all over that and it's behind you. Right?
Which is great. Mm-hmm. Be happy. Lo pasado, pisado.
So you're asking me if I agree?
Yeah.
So that we shouldn't dwell in the past? I think so. Actually, yeah. You know, I know situations vary and it's all context specific, and I'm sure I'm about to fall in a trap.
You know those people who live in the past all the time or who live in the future all the time. You don't want to be like that. You want to like move forward.
Exactly. Always eyes forward, and that I think that's. I consider myself generally an optimistic person. So yes, I'm gonna go ahead and step right into this trap and say, I agree. Lo pasado, pisado. Don't dwell in the past. Let bygones be bygones. Water under the bridge.
Exactly. And you're absolutely wrong. Lo pasado should never be pisado. And the reason why I might sound a little bit like I have a short fuse, how do you say today? I was just reading an article before we came here about Milei in Argentina.
Oh, boy.
And how his government is banning books. And he just happened to ban a book that I recently read called Come Tierra by Dolores Reyes. And like, first of all, Argentina has a huge literary tradition. Argentina is a country of Jorge Luis Borges, of Julio Cortázar, of nowadays Samantha Schweblin, or like so many. I could spend the whole podcast commenting on all the great authors that Argentina has given us. And now they're banning books. So you know what? I think like we cannot forget that Argentina went through one of the worst dictatorships in Argentina, and that include like revoking freedom of expression. And I think any form of banning a book is revoking freedom of expression. So I don't think it's possible to live through that and think, oh yeah, lo pasado pisado. This is a new president. This is a new Argentina. It's absolutely absurd. I think remembering the past is what allow us to not repeat the mistakes in the future.
Yeah. Okay, so first of all, I stepped both feet into your trap.
You did. That was on purpose. Sorry.
But that's okay. I accept. I'm amazed to hear about this book banning. So you read this. Come Tierra is the name of the book?
And not only that one, Come Tierra, Las Aventuras de la China Iron too. They were banned in public schools, which, again, I read Come Tierra. I mean, we read books that have like much more political and sexual content in school, like even Cien Años de Soledad is mandatory in schools.
Oh, yeah.
Like, I don't understand the banning of books. If anything, I think we should be discussing books. You know, On the other hand, which is great, a bunch of writers got together for a public reading of Come Tierra in a theater in I think it was Buenos Aires. And they thought it was going to be a small event, and thousands of people signed up for the event.
Well, that gives me some, speaking of optimism again, it lets me know that people resist that. And speaking of censorship in general, that's not something contained to Argentina, as you well know, like
Really? No, I know.
the number of banned books, like in the United States, for example, is a list that's growing, ever growing.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I read an article about that the other day. But for example, lo pasado, pisado, right? We should forget our past. And by banning a book, we are erasing that past. Like, for example, the
Oh, I
past
see.
of slavery. Lo pasado, pisado, let's forget about that and move forward.
Yeah.
No way. Like, I just watched Gone with the Wind, and it is a very racist movie. Indeed. But instead of banning it, what they did, they had an African American college professor talking about the context of the movie, the context of the story, giving an introduction and thinking, okay, this is why we are showing this movie, but we're showing it like with this commentary.
Yeah.
I think that's a way to remember the past, not lo pasado pisado.
Yeah, no, I absolutely. As someone who studies or has studied history myself, of course, you already mentioned it earlier, that those who don't study history are bound to repeat it, right? That's the famous quote. I don't remember who.
I was trying to think because I've heard it so many times.
When in doubt, you probably just say Winston Churchill or something, and you're right
It
like
was probably
50% of the
Churchill,
time.
right?
Yeah, probably Churchill. But to your point, I agree with that. We do need to remember the past. Argentina famously is one of the best examples of having institutionalized remembrance.
Mhm.
And by that I mean they have government-sponsored, supported museums for the horrors of the dictatorship. It's like the German example
Mhm.
of remembering the Holocaust, of remembering the history of Nazi Germany.
Mhm.
Why? So as not to repeat it. 2022, only 2 years ago, I was looking this up. The McMinn County School Board in Tennessee, here in the US, banned Maus. Did you hear about that?
No.
Maus,
The comic
M-A-U-S.
book. Yeah,
Graphic
that's a
novel.
famous one, yeah.
Yeah, and it depicts the Holocaust, events from the Holocaust, but with mice as the characters. That's why it's called Maus. And that's an example of, I think, the negative application of this phrase, lo pasado pisado. Move forward, don't dwell on the past.
Now
But
go ahead, finish your point.
to erase, if you're using that optimistic sentiment as an excuse for erasing the past, important past, that's a recipe for disaster.
Well, is there any example that you can think of where lo pasado pisado, let bygones,
Yeah.
what would be like, forget the past?
Yeah. Where it's a good use of that?
Yeah.
Oh, absolutely. Marriage. Marriage in the sense that when you have arguments, over little things.
Remember back in 2010 when you told me that I could use.
Exactly.
Okay.
The secret sauce, I believe, is to let bygones be bygones and put things away. Of course, there's limits to that, but I'm talking about little things. Don't dwell on them. Move on. Lo pasado, pisado.
I think it was Audrey Hepburn who said, like, her recipe for happiness is that she has a very bad memory.
So by default, lo pasado, pisado. The past is in the past, right?
Exactly. I guess she moved forward and lo pasado, pisado.
That's good. Yeah. What about you? What's a situation where it's let's call it a noble or a good use of lo pasado, pisado?
Well, I mean, as you know, I'm an immigrant, right? I had to leave my country, and it's a country I still love. I miss many things, but I try not to dwell in all the things I miss from my homeland. I just try to focus on the thing I'm grateful for in my new country because it's not lo pasado pisado. It's not that I'm forgetting where I'm coming from and what I love from Venezuela, but I try not to, like when you're an immigrant, I have many immigrant friends who always like, oh, there's nothing like the food in Venezuela. There's nothing like the beach in Venezuela. There's nothing. And it's
Oh,
like,
yeah.
no,
Like
no, no, no.
paralyzing nostalgia.
Yes, it's
Yeah.
like you're not there anymore. Lo pasado pisado. Be grateful to your new country and focus on the good things of your new country.
Right.
I think that's a good lo pasado pisado usage.
In other words, like when dwelling on the past, well, when it becomes dwelling, when it prevents you from being in the moment, from enjoying the present, that's when you have to, put things behind you, move forward. Lo pasado pisado, right? That's a suggestion for being happier in
Yeah.
life.
And another example where we should not use lo pasado pisado is like we have in News in Slow Spanish a bunch of lessons about these expressions, lo pasado pisado. Let's not forget about those.
Oh, right. Yes. So you can always go back and listen to older episodes and the lessons that we've had in the past.
Yeah, and we could not find the origin of this expression anywhere. I think maybe an abuelita came with it somewhere. I could not finish this episode without talking about my abuelita.
Of course. Yeah. And that's exactly what we can do. We can go back to the past and listen to previous uses of this expression in dialogues that we've had. But this coming week, we're going to be doing this expression in one of our episodes, right?
Oh, fine. Then lo pasado pisado. Go to this week and learn more about this expression.
Another example of how to use this phrase in a real conversation. And of course, this show, in the present, not in the past, is It's Just a Phrase.
That's the name of the show?
That's the name of the show.
Did you come up with that?
I think we did it together.
You're just going through a phrase?
I'm just going through a phase right now.
I like it.
It's just a Spanish phrase in this case, because what we're doing is dissecting Spanish phrases, the expressions that we are using every week in our episodes of News and So Spanish, and telling you a little bit more about their origin and how to use them. And then, of course, our fascinating conversations on censorship.
All right.
And the state of the world.
Yeah. And we usually try to keep it short. So thank you so much for accompanying us in one more episode of Just a Phrase.
It's just a phrase.
Okay, just a Spanish phrase. Gracias. And remember, lo pasado pisado, but not always.
Lo pasado pisado with...
Most of the time, don't do lo pasado pisado. Okay, bye.